Love Me Now. There's John Legend on Mix 96. Welcome to Mix. I'm Corny Rempel. It's 8:10 and in Steinbach. We're starting off a little cold this morning. -6, wind chill -10. But I tell you, you look outside at that sunshine and you just see the hope of a beautiful day. 6 degrees today, 18 degrees tomorrow. Boy, this is some good stuff. We're here with Steinbach mayoral candidate Earl Funk. Good morning, Earl.
Good morning, Corny.
There's some sunshine on your face there this morning, too.
It feels good. Feels real good.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to spend the next hour just visiting with Earl and just getting to know him a little better. We did this on Monday with John Fair. Tomorrow we're going to be doing this with Paul Newstater. But we want to give you an opportunity to get to know the candidates a little better and to ask your questions. Till now, we've been asking the questions. We want you to ask the questions. And you can start now, 346-0000, and ask Earl whatever you want about his policy or about steak.
Or with the policies that are at stake.
Oh, there you go. Well played. Well played. Well, we'll leave the steak questions for another time. We'll ask political questions today. But let's get to know Earl a little better. Did you grow up around here?
Yes, I did. We actually moved to Steinbach in 1972. I was born in 66. I was 6 years old. And we, I think, if I'm correct, we were the fourth or fifth house on Rosewood Drive. 406 Rosewood Drive. My mom still lives in that house.
Come on.
Yeah.
That's quite a legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's fantastic. So when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up? Like, did you already picture, I'm going to own a butcher shop and I'm going to run for mayor? Or what did little Earl think he was going to do?
Well, you know, I didn't think I was going to run for mayor, but I always wanted to be a counselor because my dad was politically charged. He helped in every election, whether it's federal, provincial. He put signs up for guys. And one time there was a gentleman by the name Rupert Ford. He was running for mayor, and my dad really liked him, and he helped him. And my mom worked with Edna, and so I remember them in the garage, and my dad was his sign guy, and they just talked about the issues, and they talked about running for mayor, and that might be a neat thing. And I think I mean I might have been 12 or 13 or 14, but it was really, really neat. And one time in grade 7, I remember this. I bugged my teacher. Pierre Trudeau was running against Joe Clark in 1981, and I bugged my teacher, or 79. I don't remember exactly the years, but yeah, I bugged that we could have a mock election, and we could see who, if we were voting at grade 7, who would be the winner. And I believe it was 50-50 split between Joe Clark and was it Ed Broadbent? I'm not sure exactly, but it was NDP.
Your memory's already better than mine.
Okay.
Go on.
And there's one lone vote for Trudeau. But we all know Trudeau won that election.
Oh, wow. Well, you know what? When I was in high school, I ran for president, and running an election's not easy. So I don't envy your task for all of the candidates. That's quite like, was it what you expected it to be? Now, you've done this for council before, but now running for mayor, is it different campaigning?
Yeah, mayor is definitely a step up. There's a lot more accountability. There's more interest. I think you're going to see a big number of people at the polls this week, like next week, and primarily because there's a mayoral race, but also I think cannabis vote's going to bring a lot of people out too.
Yeah, absolutely. We are going to continue our conversation with Steinbach mayoral candidate Earl Funk. Keith, I got your question here. You're going to be next. That's coming up in just a moment. Weather in 2. Good morning. I'm Corny Rempel here with Steinbach mayoral candidate Earl Funk, and you get to play radio DJ for a while today.
It's actually a lot of fun. I like this.
You're doing great. Yeah, we're having a lot of fun this morning. It's 8:18. It's -6. We're on our way to 6 degrees today. And till 9 o'clock, we're going to be chatting with Earl Funk about his mayoral candidacy, his policies, and his platforms. And your questions are what's important here. Keith has a question. By the way, the phone number is 346-0000. And Earl, here's a question from Keith about public transit.
Okay, what you going to do about transit to get some kind of public transit so we can get around the ones that don't drive? Because the malls are all at one end of town, and there's no public transit.
What are your thoughts on public transit?
Well, Keith, that's a very good question, and Keith, I empathize with you. It's very difficult when you're not driving to get around in our area, and we do live in the tundra, so it's very cold in winter. But our challenge is that we're fairly spread out, and we just don't have the population density to hit the threshold to where we can actually access federal funding on public transportation. But there is always the openness that a private company could step up to the plate and offer a private system of a public transit. But it just cannot be done publicly with the funds that we have. One commitment I will make is I want to ensure that Steinbach becomes vibrant in all sectors. Every area of Steinbach becomes vibrant, so that there will be. I want to encourage development downtown too, so that we can have grocery stores, clothing stores also downtown, so that it's not all in one place. I agree. With the mall being out there, everything's in one place. It's very, very difficult. But if we can entice businesses to reopen in downtown, fill up our downtown, make our downtown vibrant, there we have something that's walkable. And then the public transit issue would not be as strong.
Well, throughout this whole candidacy, you've been talking about economic development and bringing businesses into Steinbach, and this would be another business that, if we had a business that would open up a public transit here, but it would be run independently, there would be another business that would just increase the economy of our city.
That's exactly it. It would have to have a physical address, so there would be a building being paid taxes on. Plus, then there would be there'd have to be employees. There'd be insurance is paid. There's just benefits to having a private company come do it.
Absolutely. Sherry has a question here. She says, we seem to see quite a bit of split decisions on the last council. How would you build unity on council? Now, you were a council member, and now hopefully you're going to continue. And now, how are you going to create unity?
Well, it's like this, Sherry. Perception is everything. So how you see it is how you perceive it. When you're on council and you're debating back and forth, I see it as a majority of council. I don't see it as a split council so much as you might see it in the news. You might see it, oh, they're split again. But you know what? No, we voted and majority went forward. But what I would do is exactly what I do in my business. We stop twice a day at the same time and we have coffee. Team building is just, it's huge. And I think even if you have a council meeting where it's a bunch of 4-3 votes, you know what? You get them all packed in a van, let's go for coffee, and let's hash this out. You know what? It's healing when you start to sit down. And as we sit down, we'll discuss. You'll have the aftermath, right, of the meeting. And you know what? Once we understand where the other counselor comes from, where they're living, right? And we understand that, we can respect their decision. Even though we don't agree with it, you can respect it. But at the end of the day, when the issue comes up again, it has to be talked about. It's still representing the people, right? But I wouldn't call it a split council as much as I'd call it we went to a vote and majority ruled.
And when you do disagree with something with someone on something, when you have that personal relationship, because I've seen the council out for wings on wing night, right?
Yeah.
All together and just talking about your lives. It's easier to discuss something you don't agree with the other person when you actually have that personal relationship. Yeah.
For example, me and Jake Siemens, we have argued at council, right? Back and forth on a different view. And when the meeting's over, we meet in the middle and we give each other a hug. Because, the decision is, that's just like, you could be talking about this bottle here, right? And that's a bottle. But Corny, you and me, the relationship, that's between you and me, right? We're not going to let that bottle ruin what we have as friendships, right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly, whether you're talking about a multiplex or a golf course or a curling club, that's okay. That's a curling club. It's not the relationship. And that's what I would do. I would build on the relationship, and I would do team building exercises, like just as simple as going out for supper.
Sherry, that was a great question. Thank you for asking, and thank you, Earl. That was a great answer. We're going to keep going answering your questions with Steinbach Mayoral candidate Earl Funk. You can call 346-0000. Good morning. I'm Corny Rempel here with Steinbach mayoral candidate Earl Funk, and it is -6. We are on our way to +6. That's nice when we can just take that minus and just put a little line across it, right, Earl? And just changes everything, that one little line.
It sure does.
So we're going to continue with your questions for Earl Funk, and we did this with John Fair. If you missed it on Monday, we did this, and we're going to do this again tomorrow with Paul Newstater. But now until 9 o'clock, your questions for Earl Funk can be asked. This is your time, 346-0000. And Earl, before we get into this next half hour, let's lay out your platform. And you did a lot of door knocking. You talked to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And when people say, well, what's your platform? What do you say?
Well, my platform is quite simple. It's got balance, okay? My platform is balanced. Steinbach's not one-dimensional, nor do I want to be one-dimensional. So I didn't push one topic. But it starts with low taxes. Keeping taxes low. Keeping Steinbach affordable. And who is it affordable for? It's affordable for, I want to keep affordable for that person that is living on a fixed income, that can't afford a $50 a month tax bill extra. You know, those kinds. That is who I'm working for, to keep it affordable. Because I can afford a tax increase, but not everybody can. So I'm not keeping it affordable for me. I'm keeping it affordable for those that can't. Economic development is huge. We need economic development. We need jobs in our community. We need opportunities for our young people. And we need a tax base that's going to pay for some of the big projects that are on our horizon. And that falls into recreation renewal. But I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, because we do need, like, economic development is something we haven't been doing. We also need, part of that comes with, we got to change a little bit the culture of how we operate as a city. And we have to be more open. We have to maybe adopt a policy of why not in Steinbach, instead of, you know, like, we do have very, very good quality of construction and very good quality of roads. I'm not knocking that. And we need to have bylaws, and they're there for a reason. But we need to show how we can work with this and how we can make businesses fit in our community. And because you look at a place like there's other communities that are doing it, and they're vibrant with business, and that's what we need to see. We need to fill up all our spots. We've got empty lots that we could be building on in our industrial park, and those would bring taxes and jobs to our community. We have young people that are leaving our community to take tech jobs in other communities because we don't have them for them. We need those tech jobs to come here.
Well, we have about a minute before we need to get to the news, and I want to ask you this. Just for example, say there's one new business that opens in Steinbach and it employs about 50 people. What kind of difference does that make to the tax base of Steinbach?
Well, this is just hypothetically, but if the building's big enough, let's say the business taxes are $100,000, right? And let's say they employ, what do we talk about?
50 people.
50 people. Let's say 30% of them buy homes. The average home at $3,000 of taxes per year, right? So now you're looking at another $90,000 there. We're probably looking with condos, everything, renting, we're probably looking at a tax impact somewhere in the $250,000 to $300,000 tax impact. One business coming to Steinbach. But let's remember the impact it'll have on our local businesses, right? Because there's 50 people that are hungry every day. There's 50 people that need gas once a week. Like, think of the impact that way. That impact is almost unmeasurable.
We're going to talk more with Earl Funk. Your question's coming. Phil has a question. We're going to get to Phil's question right after your news, sports, and weather on Mix. Shawn Mendes is begging you for mercy on Mix 96. It's kind of like we have been with the weatherman lately, begging him for mercy, and it seems to be working. We're -6 right now. Let's see if that's changed at all. No, -6. The wind chill has gotten a little warm. -8 for the wind chill. And we're headed to +6 and mainly sunny and 18 degrees tomorrow. We're here with mayoral candidate Earl Funk. Earl, what are you going to do with 18 degrees tomorrow?
18 degrees. I think we're going to finish yard work.
I think that's going to be a pretty broad answer for everyone, because we've been waiting, right? Well, let's get to the your questions for Steinbach mayoral candidate Earl Funk, because this is your time. to get to know him a little bit better. 346-0000. You can call now with your questions. Phil has a question for you, Earl. He says, would you, if elected, take measures to ensure land purchases by the city would be voted on in the future? My understanding was that the golf course land purchase lease was done without council vote.
Thank you, Phil. That's a very good question. And all land purchases have to go to a vote. Okay, it has to be a majority vote, or we don't go forward. Now, land purchases are kept secret. Okay, we don't have to. We have a choice to. The Municipal Act is very clear that council has a choice to keep legal, land, and labor disputes, like those kinds of questions, in camera. We don't have to. It says may keep, right? So if I was mayor, yes, a land deal such as that one, where we actually never take control of the land, where it started off as a request for a grant to help them out because they were failing, that turned into a land deal, so it had to stay quiet, that it had to stay in camera, and then went on for a year's worth of meetings going forward. That kind of deal, that would have gone under my tenure, we would have brought that public, because that's not the kind of land deal where we have to worry about a developer scooping it up, because a developer will not take possession of a piece of land that they never have control over.
Mm-hmm. Well, his last point here was he understood that purchase wasn't even voted on, was it? It
was voted on. Yeah, no, it was voted on. It was a 4-3 vote. Majority still won. But I'm not arguing about the vote. The vote is the vote. I'm arguing about the process. Mm-hmm. What happened before the vote, that whole year before the vote, that's what I'm arguing about. That's what I want to bring up. The vote's the vote. We bought the land. That's fine. Okay, it's done.
Yep.
I have no sour grapes over that. It's the process. Let's learn from our mistakes. Let's not do what we've done before. Let's be more transparent. Let's be more open, and let's have people have an opportunity to weigh in on decisions that change the fabric of how we do business in our community.
346-0000 to ask your questions for Steinbach Mayoral candidate Earl Funk. Now, Earl, you did a lot of door knocking. How are your knuckles? They're doing okay?
Well, they're scabbed over right now.
Scabbed over. So what did you learn knocking on doors, and did anything surprise you?
You know, I did learn a lot. We met some fantastic people. It was amazing, the stories we heard. You know, when you get in front of someone at their door and you listen to their story, they'll let you tell your story. We had some amazing conversations, and you know what? It's far too little time to share. But one thing I did learn, and that I feel that I'm on the money, is with lower taxes. Because I met a lot of people living on fixed incomes. I met a lot of people that, you know what? They would find hardship if their life took a turn and they had $50 more cost every month. It would change the decisions they make. You know, one gentleman, wonderful guy. I went to his house, and we started talking. He says, "Low taxes. What are you keeping Steinbach affordable? What's that mean?" Well, and I told him what it meant to me, and he says, "Well," then he told me his story. He was working in the trades industry, and he got a repetitive motion injury, and so it needed surgery. It got so bad, it needed surgery. When he got back and he got retooled for work, he found out he could not perform the duties anymore. He didn't have the mobility in his shoulder. And so what happened was he had to find work elsewhere at a huge reduction in wage. And now he actually decides which meal he misses every week, so that his children can go on and grow up healthy and function. For him, families like him, his family, I want to keep this city affordable.
346-0000. Ask your questions for Earl Funk. Good morning. I'm Corny Rempel. It's 8:48. It's -6. We're going to start warming up to +6 today and mainly sunny. Tomorrow's more sun and more warmth. An unbelievable high of 18. When I say unbelievable, I'll believe it when I see it. Right, Earl?
Yeah, you bet.
I don't want to be a skeptic, but I'll believe it when I see it. That's Steinbach Mayoral candidate Earl Funk. And if you just joined us, we've been spending time since 8 o'clock, and we're going to keep going for the next 10 minutes. Your calls are important, 346-0000. And now's your chance to ask Earl Funk some questions about his mayoral candidacy and his platform. Now, Earl, multiplex is kind of a hot topic. And how, if, why, how are we going to afford this? What are your thoughts on the multiplex?
Well, you know what? You're right. Recreation renewal and cultural renewal are needed badly. Okay, I'm not arguing that. But are we saving a lot of money by putting it all in one place? Are we actually taking care of our parking problems? Are we taking care of our traffic flows? Putting it in one place. For example, if we put the soccer facility at the soccer park, we have land there, we have a parking lot there, we've got the infrastructure, it's paid for. Now it's just putting up a structure and a turf. That's cheap. That can be done, right? And plus, everyone's trained. We've trained all our soccer people to drive to our soccer park. It's part of their week. It's nothing new, right? And we don't have a parking jam there. And traffic jam.
Yeah.
We don't have a traffic jam there because you know what? There's 200 users and 200 users leave, and they leave at the same time, but it's 200 cars. Our streets can handle that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we know we need to replace our arena. We know it can't be downtown, but the Arts Council could be downtown. Most places you go to, cities across our country, the arts is in the downtown. The arts is part of what keeps their downtown vibrant, because downtown is an 8 to 5 type kind of thing. And then at 6:37, the art starts to wake up, right? And people go to shows, and they go to the theater and concerts. And that's what keeps your downtown vibrant from 8 in the morning to 10 o'clock at night. And so that's why I'd like to see the arts downtown. Again, less people. We don't, and they're not doing business at that point, so we don't have the traffic jam. And then of course, the arena, find a nice place, non-downtown, and start building an arena with room to grow.
Mm-hmm. Well, John has a question here, and this is not the John that's also running for me. This is a different John. I just want to be very clear.
Okay.
John asks, if we don't build a multiplex downtown, what would the city do with that land that they've been buying downtown? What are they going to do with that?
Well, you know what? That's a great question. That land downtown has been bought to save and use when it would be necessary. We buy it, we're leasing it, we're getting $34,000 a year lease. It's being leased for fair market value. So yeah, like while we're letting it sit there, it's growing in appreciation. Plus, we're getting paid for it. Right? So we have income. So that land is doing well. But in a case like, let's say, it's there to facilitate commercial development downtown, right? So as your city grows, also your commercial will grow, right? So 25 years ago, when the councillor started to buy that land up, they had no idea that the credit union was going to build an 8-story office building, okay? Now, had we not had that land, this would have never happened. The credit union would not be downtown. Because we had the land, we could act quickly, and we could facilitate the credit union having all the parking they needed, correct? Mm-hmm. And so now, if we would have them out of town or on a non-downtown area, think about the tens of thousands of people. Like, it's a huge number. How many people come to that credit union every day and every week? I would imagine probably 3,000 plus, maybe 4,000 plus customers come to that credit union every day. Times that by 6 days, we're looking at a huge influx of business in our downtown, keeping it vibrant. Now, thank you to the councillors of that day 25 years ago when they started buying those pieces of property.
They saw the vision.
They saw the vision. And you know what? Vision for a community has to be balanced and dual vision. We can, again, like I said, we can't be one-dimensional. Our city has so many facets. We're multifaceted, and we cannot be one-dimensional and say all of our recreation and culture needs to go to one spot. No, we need to make our entire community vibrant. And with that way, we will help be able to control our traffic patterns, and we will be able to use land we already have. And I think that's going to save us money.
We got a quick question here from Tim.
Steinbach is supposed to be the automobile city. Why don't they lower the gas prices in Steinbach by 10 cents? That would lure a lot of people from Winnipeg in, and it would mean more money for businesses.
You know, Tim, that's a good question, but I don't think that's under our control. You know, there's things we can control and there's things we can't control. And one thing I've tried, but we can't control the market. And even the price of, like in my business, the price of animals, the price of meat goes up and down, just like the price of oil. And I guess that's where it is. I would love to see something where we could actually reduce costs of goods so that we can draw more people in here into town. But I think something like that, it's a commodity that's traded, and that's a very difficult thing to do. But thanks for your question, Tim.
If Steinbach was 10 cents cheaper than everywhere else, boy, that would drive a lot of traffic.
He is right.
It's a
He's
great
totally
idea.
Right.
I just wish we could.
Yeah, I wish it would be actually, commercially feasible.
We're going to continue our conversation with Steinbach Mayoral candidate Earl Funk in just a moment. You can still call in with your questions for the next 5 minutes, 346-0000. Let's first take a quick look at what's coming up in your news with Harvest Insurance, the only locally owned and operated insurance broker in Steinbach. Call Harvest Insurance or visit harvestins.com. Daryl? Good morning. I'm Corny Rempel. It's 8:58, and we've got about another minute and a half to chat with Steinbach Mayoral candidate Earl Funk. And sorry we didn't get to everyone's questions. Dan, sorry we didn't get to your question. And but we want to make sure that you know how to connect with Earl Funk. Before we get to your wrap-up, how can they get a hold of you if they want to ask more questions of you?
You know, the best way to get a hold of me, seriously, is Earl's Meat Market. I'm sorry I have to say that, but that is the best place because that's where I'm always at.
Yeah.
And that phone number is 346-6328, or if you remember words better, 346-MEAT.
There you go. We're going to give you 1 minute before we get to the news. Earl, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Corny. I just want to leave everyone with my feelings on government. We need balance. We need low taxes. We need less government, less bureaucracy, and we just need to bring people together, and we need more openness and transparency. And I ask you one question: who do you trust?
And you're not even going to say your slogan?
Who's your mayor?
There you go. Thank you, Earl Funk, for joining us for the last hour. And now you are a more informed voter. We're going to do the same thing tomorrow from 8 till 9 with Paul Newstater. Thank you, Earl Funk.
Thank you, Corny.